always know where I'm headed, but I always find a way to keep going. Roll with me.
Peace, everyone. Good morning. My name is Olivia, and today I want to share a story with you about an experience I just had yesterday. And I'm kind of speaking freely and openly, so there may be several messages that come from this. We'll see what happens. But yesterday morning, it felt like God just kept telling me to get out in nature. And it was about 30 degrees. And I did not want to be outside. I knew I wanted to work out. I knew that I needed to work out. And when I say work out, I mean like walk and just get that alone time to just be, and enjoy music, podcasts, whatever I'm listening to. So just, enjoy that time. So, I tried really hard to do what I thought I was going to do, which is maybe go inside and walk, but I kept feeling that pull to get out in nature, and I didn't know where I was going to go. It was cold. I just know I didn't want to go, and so I said, well, maybe I'll go to Chattahoochee Coffee Company and just go sit by the water and have some tea, breakfast, whatever. But that wasn't, it was 30 minutes away, it was traffic, and I still wouldn't have gotten my workout. So I randomly, I won't say randomly pulled up. I went to look at my phone and I realized the GPS had turned off and the All Trails app came up, which is the app I use to find hiking trails in the area. And the first listing that was there said Sweetwater Creek, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm sure it's no coincidence, but just the day before I saw someone post about Sweetwater Creek Trail on my Instagram feed, and I assumed that it was way out somewhere in Georgia. So I looked at the app, I looked at the listing, looked at the address, and it was like 15 minutes from here. And I'm like, wait a minute, this trail right by the water, like perfect. It has different levels of hikes, and I needed something easy, and it's only 15 minutes away. So I said, you know what, why not? I'm just gonna go. Right. And I wasn't fully prepared, but I was warm. But I popped in the address and went. So when I got there, I parked and I was looking at the little map of trails to figure out where the red trail was. Cause that was when I was looking through the app, that seemed to be the easiest trail. So I stood there for a second, and I was out there by myself, and I almost never hike by myself. I might do a walk by myself, but not a hike. So I'm standing there and I'm like, okay, God, like, I don't know how to find this red trail, and I'm low-key nervous about going by myself. So this lady comes up. She's walking up, and I turn around. I say, good morning, how are you? She was like, good morning, you need some help? And I was like, yeah girl, I'm trying to find a red trail. She was like, come on, I'll take you. And I said, okay, let's go. And so as we were walking, she asked me if my hands were cold, because I told you I was like semi-prepared, but not really. I was like, they're okay, but she gave me some warm hands. And suddenly we just started talking, like just talking. And I won't go into great detail about like our conversation, but I do want to share maybe some highlights, or just some lessons learned from our time, and just the experience overall. She did share with me that was her special place to go grieve. And she also shared with me that she's in a season of release. And she shared a story with me that she hadn't shared with anybody, right? And I mean, I'm crying, you know. I cried, shed a few tears in the cold, because I was just so grateful that, one, that God had led me to such an amazing, peaceful place to hike, and gave me the opportunity to connect with someone, and someone that trusted me enough to just share and release some things that needed to be released, you know. Yeah, so one of the lessons I learned from our conversation was that ultimately grief, there's no expiration date on grief, right? I shared this in other videos, but when you experience loss of a loved one, there is no expiration date or time where you have to get over it, right? I believe that that's not how grief works, right? And I learned, there were points in our conversation that confirmed something that I always say, or always tell people: grieve how you need to grieve, unless it's going to harm someone, or harm yourself, or get you in some trouble. But grief is one of those things that no one can tell you how to process. I mean, yeah, there are plenty of textbooks and plenty of strategies and all these things that can help you with handling grief, but I think at the end of the day, it's really up to you how you decide to handle it. And this beautiful lady's name was Yvonne. I'll include some pictures and some footage of our walk at the end of this video, but I'm trying to think of what other lessons I learned. I learned that in moments of, not even in moments, I learned that God is always with you, even in your challenging moments. And I don't believe that there's ever a point where God will cut you off. I believe that we do that. We find ways to do things on our own, and then maybe consult God or talk to God afterwards, or talk to God when we get stuck, right? And, you know, based off of some of the things that Yvonne shared with me about the passing of her loved ones, made me think about my experience when my son passed. And maybe in another video I'll go into great detail, but I can say that I was prepared. I was prepared, right? Meaning God had spoke to me days before and told me that my son was going to pass. And I cried. You know, I cried, and this was in my car with nobody there with me. It was just a voice that said, you know, your son's gonna pass. And I cried because I knew that it was going to happen. I just didn't know how. And so that same day, I got a phone call from the nurse saying, "Hey, Malachi's in a coma, and it's not looking good. Can you come to the hospital?" I said, "Okay." And I was in college at the time, but I wasn't too far from the hospital, and I was adamant most of his life, you know, about not signing a DNR, because I was going to pray, I was going to fight, you know, God's going to heal my baby. But when I got to the hospital, they told me, you know, it's not looking good. Do you still, you know, how do you feel about a DNR, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, I don't want my baby to suffer anymore. So if you know, I'll go ahead and sign a DNR. And I feel like had I not trusted that voice of God, I would not have been able to make that decision. But yeah, I'm gonna do another video, maybe sometime this week or this month, about the full story of Malachi's life and ultimate passing, and some of the moments that I experienced when there was 100% proof that God was with me, and how I needed I'm not gonna say how I needed God, but it's like I needed that support and love and guidance from God, because trying to handle motherhood, dealing with a preemie in the NICU, and planning a funeral, like, it can bring so much stress when you try to do it all on your own, or you try to depend on your family to help you with it. Like, if I didn't have God then and now, I think I'd be a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But yeah, I'll share in a later video. But I do want to say thank you to Yvonne for trusting me with her story, with her grief, and for being like a super dope tour guide, trail guide. And I guess to sum all this up, if you are experiencing grief, if you are feeling lonely, lost, disconnected, take that as an opportunity to talk to God. And take the opportunity to grieve how you choose to grieve. Because God is always with you. Always. And we'll give you reminders. You just have to be open to receiving the love, the guidance, the support. And I'm super grateful that I had the opportunity to fully trust wherever God was leading me yesterday. And I'm super, I'm grateful that Yvonne and I's paths crossed. And because I think we both needed each other. And yeah, I feel myself going down a rabbit hole, and this video is longer than I anticipated. So that's all I have. I pray that you have an amazing day. Stay warm, and I love you all. Oh, as always, if you have any feedback, questions, concerns, drop it in the comments. If you know someone that needs to hear this, please feel free to share. Okay. I love you.